All right. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. Welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank. The 60 to 90 minutes of fatherhood conversation for fathers, about fathers, with fathers. I want to welcome everybody who are watching and joining us tonight. We are here. We are ready. We are enthusiastic. I think one thing as we move from this month of fatherhood, Father Day, Men's Mental Health Month, and getting ready to go into the next month of July, in the middle of the summer. I am enthusiastic. I probably want to say more than anything about where we are and what we're doing here, and what our mission is here at the Fatherhood Think Tank. I want to welcome everybody here tonight, and look forward to an interesting conversation. Tonight we are back to one of some of our interesting conversations, topics. Next topic is, I have a father, but I never had a dad. Now that's a tricky one. But I think it's something that I've learned in my experience of working in the fatherhood sphere, that I've heard a lot of people who had fathers but didn't feel like they had dads, and we're going to hopefully delve into that conversation now. I am Dr. Ron, the curator of the Fatherhood Think Tank. I want to definitely get our fathers who are on tonight, get them introduced into the room. I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. I think that is so important as we always have this platform. And as we have this platform, it doesn't happen just on its own. So first, I want to thank our main sponsor of the Fatherhood Think Tank. That is JAG Attorney at Law, Miami-Dade, Broward, West Palm Beach. If you're trying to get in touch with an attorney that can help you, look for JAG Attorney at Law, Johnny A. Gaspar Esquire. You can reach him at j.gaspar@jag1law.com, or hit him on his phone number 305-827-8087. If you want to see the type of law that he practices and look at what he's got going on over there at JAG Attorney at Law, hit him at www.jag1law.com. That is our key sponsor of the Fatherhood Think Tank, and a proud member of the Fatherhood Think Tank, Johnny A. Gaspar Esquire. Through our Fatherhood Initiative with Omega Psi Phi fraternities, Fatherhood Initiative partnerships, we want to shout out to our partners at the Zeta Chi chapter of Omega Psi Phi in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Our partners at Zeta Xi Nu chapter of Omega Psi Phi, Lagos, Nigeria. And our partners, Fatherhood Initiative in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with the Omega Lambda chapter of Omega Psi Phi in the beautiful city of Philadelphia, celebrating 250 years of America. So I just want to make sure I don't leave that out. Make sure I get that in the mix tonight. And now let's try to get into this conversation. I welcome on the fathers that's here. And guys, introduce yourself and let's get into this conversation as much as we can.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. My name is Lionel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults. three young women, four young men, one granddaughter, and one grandson. And it's always a pleasure to be here.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Solomon McClendon. I'm a father of two, father of a son and a daughter, and a grandfather of two, a granddaughter and a grandson. And I'm very, very interested in the topic. I have a father, but never had a dad. I want to be a great father and dad and grandfather and granddaddy.
Welcome, my good brother. It's good to hear you. I'm glad I'm glad to hear you on here tonight, Brother Solomon.
Yes, sir. Good to see you too, Doc.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Leonard Ross. I'm the father of three, two girls, and a man in the middle.
Hey, Ross, it's good to say we see you live and fresh today, brother. Hey, that's what I'm telling you. We moving high up. We moving. That get me enthusiastic when I see smiling faces.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Ed Tenney. I am a father of three adult children. I have three grandbabies, and I am also looking forward to the conversation tonight and excited to be here. Thank you.
So let's jump right into this because I think that I know that this topic is one that can be mysterious at times, and it could be like many people like, yo, I'm a father, but then some you can hear someone say, well, wait, all right, but I don't know how much of a dad you might have been to us, or if you are a dad, or how you operate being a dad. But I want to ask the guys in the think tank tonight, what do you think about initially when you hear a statement like this, and what does that first pull out of you when you see a statement like, I had a father, but I feel like I didn't have a dad. What is that? What is that? You know, I never had a dad. What does that pull out of you guys?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, everybody had to be fathered into this world, so everybody has a father. But it's sort of, to me, it's like, you know, I can have a car out front, but if it's not working for me and I'm not able to use it for what it's there for, then I just have a car out front in my house that really don't run, that really don't serve to my better interest. But if it was to be doing something and operational, doing what it is designed and supposed to do, then that's where I really have something. Not only do I have a vehicle, but I have something that I can get in, I can use it, it can take me places, I can enjoy it. We can have our good moments, we can have our bad moments. And that's sort of what I see out of, I have a father, but I really never had a dad. Now, I have a father and I've had somewhat of a dad, but it wasn't the dad that I really, really needed. So that's why I'm here. That's what I get from it.
That's a really, I think that as we go on, I'm going to let other guys jump in there, but I think that's where we're going to get to the root of this conversation today, because as I think about it, we all had a father, but was it the dad, or was it the idea of the dad that we kind of came up like? You know, I remember at one point we used to say, who was Bill Cosby was America's dad, and because he had this media presence on the television of what our dad and what we wanted a dad and how we wanted dad to have conversation, or how we wanted to look at our dads. But then we know that there's a lot of fathers. There's every time that there's a kid, there's going to be a father. If he uses his fatherhood to become a dad, that's questionable. But let's hear some from the other fathers. What you have to say.
Well, from my perspective, I I'm not exactly sure I can relate to not having a dad. My father was around. My dad, um, I've mentioned before, had his vices um, that I grew up with. Um, but man, the best thing I can attribute to my dad was that he stuck around. He stayed married to my mom. He had a work ethic that was, uh, you know, something that I adhere to and admire even to this day. Um, so I can't say, and I think I would do him a disservice to his legacy to ever say that he was not a dad. For me, he was a dad, and all of his vices and shortcomings just kind of served as a means of to do better, be better uh, when my turn came to be a father and a dad.
You you know what? I really, really, really like that statement that you just made, Ed, because it also then changes the dynamic of, we don't have different terms for moms. It's mom, it's mom, right? It's mom. Mom and wife, mother and wife. In its father capacity, we say, hey, we have a father and then we have a dad. There is, I've never heard I, I, in my experience, it's been you're a woman, you're a wife, you're a mom, and there's no other kind of like things that usually come in there to question or to be a question. So I think that is a great point, because when we're looking at this overall, we're talking about, hey, it's a father. What is a father? Well, the father could be all the great things based on what that person's experience is with their father and who their father is. That the dad word does not come, because I'm only saying it because this is how these words have been kind of played against each other. And I think, Ed, you're saying, I wouldn't, my dad was my father, my father was my dad. They were interchangeable in the dynamics of, I didn't use one word to represent him one way and another word to represent him another way. So I think that's something I want people to really think about, because that is a great point. It's not as simple as just saying, oh, either you got a dad or you got a father. Some of us had, I know for myself personally, I had dads and fathers and father figures. And then sometimes they was acting like a father, sometimes they acting like a dad, all the above.
Hey, brother Ron.
Yes, sir.
I can kind of see it a little bit differently on the female side. That I can see how a person can be a mother and give birth to a child, but really don't be that mom. How you can leave your child rearing responsibilities to somebody else, like your mother or auntie or another family member. And or you might not have been ready to be a mom, even though you was the mother. You might be a teenage mother, and for certain set of circumstances, somebody else had to be mom. I have cousins that was raised by aunties because the mother was too young when she had the child, and then when she got of age, she just really wasn't interested in taking the child and finish raising them. So I can kind of see it both ways. I look at mother or father on one side of a bridge, then say look at mom and dad on another side. And just because you're a father or a mother doesn't necessarily make you a dad or mom, but there's some work that has to be done on your part, the love and the care and the support, the encouragement, the rearing, the being that example, making sure that they have life skills that they need in order to be a successful adult. So, but to your point, people talk about a father not being a dad a whole lot more than people talking about a mother not being a mom. And if you had to pull a number out the sky, you'd probably say 50-1 that the men are talked about in a negative way of being a father and not being a dad versus a mother not being a mom.
I think about that. I think about even as I hear you speak, I think it also speaks to our challenge of identifying how important our role as a male and as a man is in reference to being this figure, like to be, that there's an opportunity where people will be looking and saying you are either a father or you're a dad, and that almost goes back to the importance of our roles, right? How important our role has become. That sometimes we may not even see it because we may only acknowledge what we are. Again, I am a father. In many instances, I don't feel like I get to be the dad that I want to be to my child, but I am her father. I am her father. There's nothing that's going to change that. But I think that as much as I would like to, I think I used to be the dad that I was to her until I was no longer the dad. And I think that also that goes in also to the child, how the child sees you, how they operate, and also in a larger point of how the people around the child, and I won't just say the mother, but all the other people have a strong influence on what you begin to look like and how people see you. Some people may have only ever seen you as the dad, right? They have only seen you as, yes, that's your child, but they have only seen you as a dad. And they haven't given you that, I guess, default of, oh, you just the father, right? They still see you as the dad because they have no other experience with or around you other than you being the dad. And so them making a choice to say, you're no longer a dad, you're just a father. I mean, not even to go to some of the derogatory things people may even offer to that, saying, oh, you could just be the sperm donor. That you're not even that, you're not even a component of even of being a father part. That's a big part that we can look at. Like, boy, why you sitting there thinking, you look like you're thinking of a master plan.
No, because I think if we're gonna effectively discuss this topic, we got to go back to the origins of where the terminology "dad" came from. And so, once I researched it, it said that the terminology of "dad" actually came from babies, literally, because a baby's first word was always "dada." Then that's literally where the origins of the word "dad" came from. And so if that is the origins of the word, then the very definition of the being or being a dad would have to occur from your involvement from the time that child, you understand, was you understand, to the point when it's first word, you being there when that child forms his first word. And so you're not a dad because you say you're a dad. You're not a dad because society defines you as a dad. You're a dad because your child, you understand, defines you as a dad. And so since the origins of the word literally came from children or from babies because their first word is dada, That's where the word dad came from. And so you got to understand where your child came from too, to define what father is. You understand? And I think a lot of people confuse, and I love the fact that I do go to church. I do learn when I go there. The fact that that a lot of people thought that still confuse Abraham as some sort of prophet or pastor or priest or apostle. I'm like, Abraham was called to be nothing but a father. That's it. That literally was his whole ministry. God called him to be a father. That's a fact. But we'll take it and turn it into a whole bunch of other stuff. And so much we'll say, oh well, you got three faiths that actually point to Abraham as not even a father, but the father. You understand, of the faith, which is Muslims, Christians, and Judaism. And so, being a father comes from being from the terminology of the father, with God the Father. That's what makes us a father, which is a continuum of what Abraham was. So I understand the origins of being a father and the origins of being dad. So again, which terminology that you really want to function in. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think both are bad. I think both come with a separate point of origin. And when it comes with a separate point of origin, then it should come with a separate understanding as well. I don't mind being a dad, but being a dad is defined by the very first words come out of your child, if you were there. You understand? And so that child, if you're there when that child has his first word or is able to define you as a dad, then you're a dad. But if you're not there, you understand, then you can go ahead and strive to be the best father you can be. Because again, God will still give the grace and the mercy to be that. So I'm just leave that right there for now.
Well, I would just want to acknowledge that we say Tor Robinson 2836 says, Mom, mother, dad, father, both mean the same to me. Both mean the male or the female that birthed you. Neither explains the role they play in your life. I think that's a great. That's a watcher, responder, commenter. I think that's a really good point. For some of us, there is no separation. Some of us don't even operate from the and I think I'm getting the tone from this tank that we're not really seeing a separation. We know it's out there and people may be presenting it, but that may not be what we're looking at, especially when we're thinking about the idea of someone presenting. And one of the things I would really almost like to say is, I wonder, and what would someone be presenting to say, I have a father, but I never had a dad? And I can in my mind go back and think of moments of sitting in places and listening to fathers talk about the example of, my dad lived with us, but this person was saying, my dad lived with us. I just didn't have the kind of relationship with my dad or the engagement with my dad that I think that I should have. And listen, I will double down and bet on this any day. A large majority of those guys, fathers I've met like that, have took on the mantle to try to reverse that experience for themselves, for their children. Because they didn't have their father in their life, if they were able to, they definitely was doing everything they could to be present and be there for their children at the level that they could and at their own capacity. Now I know that sometimes can be questionable because someone's own capacity can only represent, what their capacity is, and it makes it difficult when someone else has a higher expectation of what your capacity is. Oh, I want to say good night to Margot. You here? And you're not coming on the tail end. You're here tonight, so welcome. Hello to you. Let me go over. I see you over there. Look like you're writing studious notes. Something up there in that right hand corner. What you got to say about this thing here, brother Ross?
1 second. Now I'm actually double whammy. I'm at work too.
What about Ross? I'm glad you said that. They give me a moment to make advertisement about it. Fatherhood Think Tank is not something that we say, oh man, you got to go to work, forget it. Don't go. No, we believe and we understand that fathers, just like anything else. I mean, we can be at our job, we can be watching the game, we can be listening to the World Cup, we can listen to the R&B in the background, we can be playing games on our phone, doing all kinds of things. So definitely, if you're out there, you watch it and saying, hey man, I got something, you can be like Ross, you can be double duty, you can be listening in on the think tank and doing your work at the same time. We have no qualms, no issues with that. Some people have a thing about, hey, we need your full attention. We need you to be, listen, we live in the real world. And when you gotta work, you gotta work. But sometimes you still want to be in tune to what's going on. Listen, we lucked out today. I just want to tell people, you might not know this, but people lucked out today that we didn't lose our citizenship. And people may not understand what that means, but that was a strange thing. So the court had to even come back to. But you didn't lose your citizenship today, so be happy about that for some of
you. It was 5-4 though.
Yeah.
It was close as you can get.
Tight but right.
So, but from my point of view, I mean, socially, you say daddy's the person that bring me in the world, but father's the one that raised me. And so that could be one and the same, or it could be multiple people, or it could be, well, I guess one and the same or multiple people. From my point, I think the father is the guidance. I do agree with you, Lionel, that Abraham was considered the father of nations. They call him the daddy of nations. They called him the father of nations. So that means from his guidance, the nation shall be born from his tree. So I do feel that there is a difference. You said something earlier too, Ron. But I don't think that it's singular, right? So for me, like I knew my daddy, right? He was in my life, but I still wouldn't call him father. But I would call my uncles and my grandfather more father figures because because these are the people where I learned how to survive from, who taught me my lessons in life, who taught me the little things like how to throw a ball, how to tie a tie, how to proper etiquette, like don't put your elbows on the table when you're eating at the table. These are things my father didn't teach me. So I would say, yeah, I talked to my dad today, but whether it's mental or what, it will never be, there goes my father right there. There goes my daddy right there. That's the old boy, everything but father. But father is a reverence, if you ask me. That's an esteem that you give somebody that provided that guidance that you needed. Now, how can I put it? I don't necessarily think you got to be in the house to be the father, because situations might keep you and the mother from being together. But did you make that effort, or when you do get that time with that child, are you making the best of it? And that can also lead to more fatherly guidance. So that's pretty much what I feel when I hear the difference between dad and father. One, they could be the same, or they could be one brought you in the world, but one guided you through this world, and that's the father.
I'm listening to these all the statements from the fathers tonight, and I'm really at this present moment is looking at this and saying, this is why we have a think tank, right? So I was speaking to a young lady today, and she was talking about some things about fathers and raising her son and these things. And I think this language that people have for many things that they don't maybe understand, or maybe they have made up their mind based on sometimes emotions, maybe on their experience, then allows them to use language in a way to try to change the representation of it. Because what I continue to hear at some point here is dad and father, just like the writer Tor Robertson wrote, that it's all the same. It's all the same thing. The people who birth you, your mom, I might call them mom, I might call them dad, I might call father, I might call mother. It all breaks down into my interaction, and then here you, Ross, you came and you put the more focus on the father component of it. You're right. So like the father was the one who did more and almost taught more and gave more guidance. The dad was my dad. He was, he was there. He was, because in many instances, I had a dad who was my dad, but did he do fatherly things with me? And how do we who determines that? How does that come? This is one of these things that I continue to say can be very subjective, can come from a point of view based on what someone might be feeling about what they want or what they believe, or what they or have an idea of what they want. I mean, I think that, like Lightborn was saying, some people are very adamant to say, I'm going to use my spirit, I'm going to use my faith and how I follow my faith and how my father should do, and what my father should be, and how my father. And then some people are saying, sometimes I'm making the whole thing up based on the absence of. They're deciding what fathers and dads, even at some point, what mothers should do, without any type of framework, any type of book, any type of knowledge of any of that. And then that becomes, or even sometimes, I wouldn't even say at some point misguidedly, because they'll say, well, this is how my mom is, and so my dad should have been just like that. And then it's like I'm saying, the conversation I'm having with the young lady is, today is that parents are parents, but mothers and fathers are two different individuals, and they provide you two different types of guidance, two different types of affection, two different types of ways, but they come together as the parent. When they're parents, like they come together like Voltron, they're Voltron, but each of the lions had their individual powers, individual things they did on their own to affect the community. So this is the thing in the community, is that child a lot of times. So I throw that in there to see what kind of reaction I get from the dads in the think tank.
Well, you talk about the difference. I think, no, Tini, go ahead, kick in, and I'll come right back behind you.
Oh, I was just going to tell a quick story. Well, I hope it's quick. When I bought my daughter her first car when she went off to college, it was a used car, and she was just not that great at directions. And this was long enough ago where before the cell phones had their own GPS, you could buy a separate GPS called TomTom. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but I could never afford to get her a TomTom to help her with her directions. But because I knew the area, I've been driving around, she would call me up and say, Dad, I'm trying to get to a certain place. Can you help me? And so I would help her. And she knew about the TomTom. She knew I always wanted to get her a TomTom, but I never was able to do that. And because she knew that, she would say, I don't need a TomTom. I got my dad. And she had no problems at all calling me. And I would expect her to call if she was having issues with directions and which way to go or which road to take and all that kind of stuff. So even to this day, she'll just blurt out, hey, Dad. I just tell that little story because I guess we attribute personalities to these various words and stuff like that. And but I'll always appreciate the word dad as a term of endearment that is um, on a higher level, if you will, than father, because father is by default. Leonard, you switch to flip, which is cool, and I'm not disagreeing with that, but um, it's just when I think about that story and her still calling me dad, I just think it's pretty cool.
Hey, Penny, I love that. I love that story because it really just reinforces what we're saying is based on what affects us is what we find as a sweet spot in what you call us. You know, you have when you think about nicknames. I grew up nicknamed. Depending on what the nickname was, it was a term of endearment, and most people might have even had an issue with it, a problem with it. But let me first, as we do that, let me welcome these other two dads in here. I see two. I know two guys. These two guys are stellar dads. One of them I see is he's driving. Brother Femi and Brother Gaspar. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourself. Welcome to the think tank for tonight.
Well, I'll go first. I think I'm not muted, right? Y'all can hear me?
Loud and clear.
Very well.
Yes.
Johnny Gaspard, father of two, dad of two. I love the distinction. I want to ask y'all, what about daddy? Is that even better? Just we gonna figure that out as we go along here this evening. But two beautiful kids, 27 and 20. Oh, he about to be 24 this year. My gosh. So yes, I'm getting older as well, but grateful to be here on the Fatherhood Think Tank. You guys, always a blessing to be here. Try to get on sooner, but glad that I made it on anyway. And just looking forward to the great conversation as usual. Brother
Femi, I know you always say, you get cut off and can't hear you. This your moment right here, brother.
It looked like he's stationary.
Yeah, I don't know. Brother Femi, can you hear us? He must have an Android. That figured that.
Hey, come on, man.
That was so uncalled for.
Come on, man.
So uncalled for.
I got an Android. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I like, what are you trying to say?
Right?
Listen, it don't matter. Android, iPhone, they still phones. They do the same thing. This is the conversation we're having right now.
They all do. They all do.
They do the same thing. It just depends on what people like and how they want to call it. Still a phone. Phone is a phone.
But Brother Ron,
yes, sir.
I just wish that the line wasn't blurred like it is or like it can be between father and dad. I really wish it was interchangeable, and ideally a father and a dad should be one and the same. And we would, us fathers and dads would love to be there like we feel like a father and a dad should be there for the children and for the mother of the child. But sometimes there's some circumstances where I know personally the mother of my children wouldn't let me be the dad that I wanted to be. For a while, I didn't know about assemblies at the school when they were getting report cards, AB honor roll, and things like that. So I couldn't go because the mother wasn't being the mom I thought that she should have been, because I tried to never stop being father and dad. Even though we were divorced, I still wanted to do my part. And when she said she wanted a divorce, I said, well, okay, me and the kids will be okay. The only thing I was thinking of was, man, I'm not going to be able to see my kids every day. I'm going to move to this every other weekend thing. Man, that I couldn't I couldn't bear that. Then when it got to that, then that was taken away. Now I can't be a dad to my children, and that was a hurting part. So I really, really wish ideally that it wasn't blurred, that father, like one of the brothers mentioned earlier, like father, dad, husband, spouse, all of it is one great person doing what the role was designed for that person to be doing. But sometimes we're not able to function in that capacity because of extenuating circumstances.
I think just what Johnny said. Johnny brought in a completely. Well, I didn't even think about it. Daddy, he brought in daddy, dad. You know, these words that really represent the same thing, but I think I want to be very clear that they have somehow been used to kind of twist a part of giving you a description. But again, that's why I say it's so subjective, because some people are using all of these interchangeably in all positive and in negatives. I mean, they have to use the language to describe in some way, to describe, and it also depends on the different dynamics of how the person is, that father, dad, daddy. Right. Because we describe, and when we talk about this, I think one of the things we think about married fathers, right? Fathers, a lot of times, married fathers usually be daddies, right? Because the wife will say, "Oh, go talk to your daddy."
Yep.
They don't say go talk to your dad, right? They say go talk to your daddy. Yep. And then when kids are telling their parents, the teacher telling, "So do you want me to call your dad?" Yeah. That's because they know your dad is there to call them. When they ask you a question like, "Who is your father?" That means they have some unfamiliar of who your father is, and they almost question if you have a father and what so this language is sometimes being manipulated and used to cause some detention. But I think that tonight we're gonna be better than the Supreme Court tonight. I think we're gonna leave here anonymous, saying that hey, no matter what you call, it's really in the eyes of the beholder, the person who calling, how they really view the person. You can't say, "Oh, he a dad, but he a father." Well, he a father, he a daddy. Well, he a daddy. Well, again, the derogatory being a sperm donor, we know that people utilize. I don't know how you mix that into daddy, father, dad, pop, poppy. Oh, I don't know how you mix that in. That's kind of really far down there. But in the technical terms, that man is the father.
That is correct. And Ron, it's so funny because I was gonna bring that one phrase up, that one statement that I've heard, especially in generally when I think the child has a distant relationship with the biological father, aka and or they've been disappointed so much by that particular person as a child. And then as they get older, they don't refer to the person any longer in any of those initial three terms, because the relationship is one of a distant one where there's no connection. And apparently the child in their mindset, and you would more know to this, Ron, the child in their mindset feel like they have done everything they can to establish a relationship. And this person has time and time again left them hanging, disappointed them, had them dressed and ready to go, and then never showed up when he said he was coming to pick them up. So he went from being dad or even father at the worst case scenario to now becoming just referenced as sperm donor. So as you've articulated, it's really about the relationship, because my kids interchange dad and daddy. I don't even hear father. I hear dad and daddy. I don't hear father. Father's the more professional, I guess, I don't know what you want to call a professional term for referencing me, but in reference to the relationship we have, it's either dad or daddy that I'm referred to. So again, it's all about the relationship. Your relationship will determine how your child calls you or what they reference you as. Some get to the point where they don't even call you any of those four. They just call you by your name. And when they call you by your name, huh?
Yeah, Richard.
Yeah, Richard. That's Richard. They like, well, what's Richard to you? Oh, he my father. He my dad. But why you call it Richard? Well, I don't really. He ain't really. We don't really have that relationship, so I call him Richard. And when you get to that point, again, those are all dynamics in reference to where you are, and it's sad. And as much as Solomon, I would have been happy to be all of those things still. Solomon, husband, spouse, father, dad, all in the same person living under the same roof. Unfortunately, we know life is what life is. So as long as you're able to establish some relationship, at one point you may be called father because you have fighting and not but eventually at a point, if you establish the relationship and you do what you're supposed to do, I know your children will be back calling you dad or daddy, even in their grown 50, 40, 60-year-old state. As long as you're there, they'll be calling you that, as long as you shown up and showed out.
And let me say,
go ahead.
Let me just say this, just to support what Johnny's saying, because I believe in that strength-based idea of optimism. The idea that you may be called one thing at the beginning, but depending on the work we do as the man and as the father and as the dad and as the daddy, it can change what our kids will call us later. Just like things go bad maybe in the beginning, they can go good in the end. So don't get. I don't think we should get hung up on what's happening now, because now is only just a season. There in your life, you have multiple seasons and different times that you can recreate and redevelop the relationship with your children, even after really bad things, and also after really good things. You can have really great things happening then. So don't give up on the idea, and it could be interchangeable of what they call you. They can go from calling you Richard, well, they could have went from calling you Richard, then they start calling you Dick. then they start calling you, oh, that's my father. So now that's my daddy. So it can progress like that in many instances, but it really depends on what we do and how we handle it, because we are supposed to be the actual fathers, daddies, the man, the leader of that affiliation and that association. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lightborn. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad you guys brought it up, because let me show you what they look like in real time. Okay, so my family, we're a blended family. So my wife have her 3 kids, I have my 4. And so I think what it looked like in real time is when you become a stepfather. And my wife, matter of fact, it's our 20th anniversary in November this year. We've been married, but we've been together for about 24. I raised our kids about roughly, all the boys are in their 30s. My girls are the youngest. They're in their 20s, early to mid 20s. And so I think back to your point, Gaspar, I watch my stepkid, because this is where it kind of like really, I watch the evolution of the word. This is good. This is a great point right now. I got my thoughts together. Okay, so I watched the evolution of the words, what we're talking about, and I watched the intimacy of the word. So for the first 10 years of our marriage, I was Lionel. This is my stepkids. You understand? Yeah. And then after that, rounding about the 15 to where we at right now, they took it upon themselves to call me dad or pop. See how that works? And their dad is in their life. You understand? Yeah. I don't take anything away from him. And I didn't try to make them call me anything that I haven't earned. but they chose, and back to somebody saying a term of endearment, they chose those terms of endearment. So I have one of my sons call me Pop, the other one call me Dad. And then my stepdaughter, she may call me a whole lot of things, depends on how she feels. But but she's still a sweetheart now because she paid me one of the biggest honors when she was writing publications and put a nice spread in there and highlighted me as her father. But the intimacy or the experience, and I would have to agree with everybody on you, Leonard, Tenny, Ron, and what all you guys said was, you have to earn what they call you. You understand? It's their choice to call you. As a matter of fact, remember we told you about the origins of dad. It started from babies. And so babies, you understand, the intimacy and their interaction with you, even babies on instinct, you understand, communicated what you were before you were. You understand? Because again, the origins of dad comes literally from the language of babies. And so I don't think we ever had or was in danger of being typecast or stereotyped as a particular male parent. I think being a male parent is determined on the intimacy we have and how that intimacy evolves in the life of that particular child. So that's what I believe right there.
Oh, no doubt. What is it? What is the term that they say one person is the thermometer and the other one is I'm messing it up. Thermostat, where one sets the temperature and the other one measures the temperature or something like that, or is affected by the temperature. And I think that's ultimately that's who we are. I mean, we as the men in our relationship with our children, we're the one that affect and establish what that relationship is. You know, I was watching this Netflix show, and Ron, listen, you got to watch this because I know there's a bunch of topics in it. It's a movie or a series called The Polygamist. It's an African movie. It's
you would be watching that, wouldn't you?
Ron, listen, when I tell you the father in the man in that show, he has become popular.
Wait, hold on. Let me stop you for a minute. Why you went from the father and then call the man a man?
listen, because the impact he had on his children was so negative to the point that as much as his daughter wanted to be daddy's little girl, she couldn't. And as much as his son wanted to be like his dad, he ultimately did in the negative parts of things, still was scheming to do injury to the dad because of how the dad had done them and the family. And it was one of those things that I don't know what topic I was going to come off the top of my head with, but it was so many things in that series because the man as the father, the husband was such a significant, or the protagonist and antagonist all at the same time in this series, that his behavior changed the way his children ultimately looked at him from the beginning to the end of that series. And I think ultimately that's who we are. You can choose to be, and Ron is right. The seasons of your relationship change because you could be called from Richard today, but then when things are going bad, Richard shows up. He's there in that moment, and in that moment, the mindset of a child goes back to wanting their dad to protect them and to be present for them. So in that moment, he no longer is Richard. They call him Dad. And then Richard looks at the child like, did she just call me Dad? Okay, cool. So Richard's mindset has changed there. And it happens all the time, but it's really about who we are in the moment to our children and what we're doing to establish that relationship. So it is definitely a great thing to be a dad and a father. I think it's great to be a father. It's even greater to be a dad and daddy. I think that the distinction between being a father and what we talk about when we say fatherhood and the way our children view us is really about, because some people could be a father, but he's not necessarily a dad. So let me ask a question to you, gentlemen. If he's present but he's not involved, which one is he? Is there a difference to us as the men here, or is really about how the children look at us?
Let me say this. I think that the problem with that is, and this is why I really, this became, and I'm glad you brought up the polygamist, because I think we can use that as a case study. When we're going to make the decision, again, it's subjective. We have to look at what we know and don't know about that person and what happened, right? I would say Jonas, in a polygamist, was a father, but not a dad at all. He was a father because guess what? He did what people would say a father should do. He provided all the things that he believed that people need, but he wasn't what we would consider someone who really took time for them to turn around and say, "Daddy, that's my dad. That's my daddy." But he did a lot of father things. He, as we would describe, I don't know so much about protect, but provide. I don't know much about protecting, but he did a lot of providing. Yeah. And sometimes we can delusion that providing is in our society, all we really looking for, because we have a system who says all you really have to do is provide. You don't have to spend time and teach your kid. Okay, Margot, he wasn't a sperm. See, here go. See, then when Margot saying that he was a sperm donor. No, he wasn't, because I think that listen. Here I'm going to go on this rant that y'all, people get upset with me about, always trying to justify what somebody did. But if you watch like I watch with I watch everything with a fatherhood lens, right? And I begin to question and say, his brother gave a real clear example of why he was like that. They gave you a story because he didn't have a father.
He didn't have an example.
Or anything. So all he had was the idea of getting to a level to get money, and then he could provide. And that would have been the pinnacle of who and what he was. Because I think in his mind, he felt very righteous about what he provided for all the people he provided for. His wives, his wife, his kids, his grandparents, his brother, and everybody else along the way. But again, this is a great, when we look at this, because this could actually be the topic for the kids in the show. I had a father, but I never had a dad.
No, I'm going to have to go with the biblical curriculum, since I have to go to the origins of father. So I don't think we're going to use that lightly like that at all. Because when you talk about a father, it derives from the father. That's the highest. You understand? So we're not going to even play with that like that. And the reason we're not going to play with that like that, because even the Bible is very clear in a particular scripture that, and I do see the Bible as, to me, I see the Bible as the ultimate curriculum, right? And so when it comes to the ultimate curriculum on parenthood, I see the Bible is clear about a person, and it actually strips you of the title. It don't say, it says a person, right? That doesn't take care of his child. So you don't even get the title. God don't even consider you a father, right? God just says a person that doesn't take care of their family is worse than a person that's on their way to hell. I'm just paraphrasing, but that's basically what it says. It says you have denied the faith. That's better, you're worse than an infidel, or you're worse than an unbeliever. And you understand? So I'm like, well, the unbeliever is a person on their way to hell. So I'm just paraphrasing that. Gotcha. So a person that doesn't take any child is worse than a person that's on their way to hell, and you have denied the faith. And so you don't even get the benefit of doubt of being called a father, whether you're the father or not, because God, the way God said, if you're not taking care of your child, you haven't earned none of the titles. So God started to call you that man. Oh, person. You know, when the priest knock on the door, be like, "Mama, that man at the door." You don't even get.
But I think that's the point. That's the point Ron is trying to make, though. Like, Burn, in this particular story that we're talking about, he is taking care of them. It's what do you consider taking care of them? You see what I'm saying to you? Is it a fight? If he's giving them money, providing a roof over their head, clothes on their back, food on the table, they ain't ever got to worry about none of that stuff. Is he taking care of them? However, he's exposing them to all kind of negative behaviors and attitudes and mindset. Is he taking care of them? So is he in that? So does he still worthy of the term father? And Ron said, based upon the provision mindset, he would be. But from a biblical perspective, like Burr, what you say that he's not, or is he? That's the question I'm asking there, based upon what Ron just described.
By the Bible standard, he's not, because it said in his household. Now the question is, are all these people and all these kids are in the same household, or they're from different households?
Oh yeah, they
there you go. The Bible is very clear on that.
Listen, I can't tell you the series. If I tell you it, though, you can go.
Right. Let's just say that in the household or not in the household, and that's why I try to keep it as simple as possible. He provided for all his children.
Everybody, yeah.
But I think the problem of providing for his children was they didn't need him to provide. They needed more of a dad, this person who could do a little bit more of guiding, discipline, teaching and guiding of who and what, and some compassion and love that he didn't have what I realized is he didn't have the capacity for.
Yeah.
So now
I agree. You just said
capacity is what really should be a question, and then not to defend his non-capacity, but let's use it as a learning tool to say, here is what we sometimes think is important, when really none of that is important at all. And use this person as an example to say, yes, you might have to put your kids through. They making the highest grade levels. They giving them a job in the company. They never wanted for anything. Even the ones that wanted, everybody got what they needed. What I would almost say they got their needs met. Not what they needed. They got their needs met on a financial level, not on a social emotional level. Not on a caring, loving level, not even on a level of empathy for who they were and what would happen to them. Because we have to do that as fathers sometimes, have the empathy for our children, what they may experience based on sometimes what we may go through with their parent, the other parent. But sometimes we can only sometimes even see it just our way. Like, what about me? Like the dream girl. What about me? What about what I want? What about how I ain't getting nothing? Well, you sometimes have to have an empathy to understand. And I think this, again, is our responsibilities as men, ultimately as fathers, to recognize that and hold ourselves accountable and be diligent in what we do and how we do things. Now, I'm not saying that that's the perfect, because no man or woman is perfect, but sometimes that's what we should be striving for. And if we're striving for something, like you're shooting for the moon, you end up among the stars. So
I hate it. Well, I'm going to show you, and again, let me show you it in real time. And I like to use my life because I don't live nobody else's life, but I use me as a good example. Okay, 4 kids, 4 separate kids, 4 separate all of them have their different mothers. 4 children, 4 separate mothers, right? And so back to my own point. So now, because this is where I would face the conviction of what I just said about the other young man. So I could turn that mirror on myself and say, okay, Yolanda, well, your kids ain't, all of them ain't grew up in the same house as you, right? All of them grew up in their own separate houses. And so how do I reconcile that, right? Because now I'm just as bad as the guy on the series you guys are talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Where the dynamics changed for me and that guy on the series is because I had to reconcile 4 houses to 1 house. Now, how do you do that? You understand? So because I had to take 4 houses, literally, and put them 4 children from 4 separate houses into one house. How do you do that? Is every time it was my time for my children, and their mothers knew it was time for them to bring them, clockwork. So now 4, and like you said, it used to be so funny to see 4 cars pulling up, dropping 4 separate kids, dropping 4 separate children off. You understand? To one house. You understand? So now what I did was consolidated 4 separate houses to one house. And then guess what? All of them got the same experiences that they needed in that one house. But again, it's not easy to fix that. And in order to fix that, you have to do a lot of relationship repairing and empathy. And people's like, with the child, I'm like, no, I had to do that with the mothers because I never really injured the child. The child was never injured. It was always the parents who got injured in the relationship that will lead to the injury of a child, right? And so my reconciliation was never really with the children; it was with the mother. And once I was able to repair those relationships with their mothers, then I was able to build my the relationship with the children or my child. And so that's how that looked like in real time for me.
Listen, when you said that about the
as I said, no, Johnny. Only reinforcing and you know this better than anybody else, every case has its own circumstances.
True, exactly.
And you can't really judge the case until you hear all of the evidence for every situation. Because what Lightborn just described can't be compared to Jonas.
That's true.
It can't to where they got to and how they got. It can't be compared. You know, when you look at we can say whatever, but it can't be compared because it's a different dynamics. You know, like Brother Solomon said that, you know, initially when he was married and then he got a divorce, the way things was then to then how it became later.
Yeah.
We only know that, you know, we only know that story that plays out. But we don't know how that story got there, what caused that story. We don't know all the details, and so sometimes to put a monolithic view, and that's what I feel this has kind of came into, to almost put this monolithic view on fathers and say you have to be this or be this or be that, when fathers are very diverse individuals. So they may not be good at one thing, but may be good at a. Listen, I've heard many times that, hey, this guy is a horrible husband, but he a great dad, great father. He is the worst man I could ever be around, but I have to give him his kudos on being the dad because he better at it than me as the mother. I've heard that in my own ears.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. So you might have a situation like Lightborn. Some people I Lightborn, don't take it personal. Some people might refer to him as a hoe. So he ain't a good daddy when he had all them kids. He had all these ladies like, I can't get this one. He got child here, child. Look, he got 4 cars pulling up at the same time. But baby girl, when I tell you about being a dad, I'll drop him. I'll drop all 4 of these, and I know they good. They can't talk.
This is something that is so powerful to come out this conversation. Is that what we may believe and what we may have some assumption and may perceive, we have to know the truth because we sometimes don't know the truth. This is happening to fathers very often. The biasness that occurred very often in this domain where people are going on what I feel like that show just set most fathers back 10, 20 years, right? Only benefit is that it's not in America, it's somewhere else. Because that wouldn't happen. You couldn't do that in 5 days in America. I don't care what you say, that ain't happening. Not in America. It could happen in South Africa, but it ain't happening in America. But but people don't care because it sets it back. It sets us back. It sets us back to a place where we are looking at dads almost with the cross eye, with the steaky eye.
Yeah.
And do you got some secrets out there? Or something you're not telling me? Is something going on? That's what we see. And it's based sometimes on the stereotypical influence that comes into play as we look at it. So we have to look at the circumstance, because guess what? I know people who was made out to be the worst thing God ever created, but when you ask their kids, they said, you know, my dad did this, he did that, he was this for us, he was that for us, nothing, you know, he did all, but as far as the mouthpiece or the bullhorn gave a totally different impression about him, and that people went with that narrative.
You're right. You're right.
He who has the loudest bullhorn gets the most influences.
And I agree with you 100% on that, unfortunately. And the thing that's crazy about this, as we bring it back to the father versus the dad or daddy terminology, is a lot of times if you've never had someone to show you or teach you, how do you know? Mm-hmm. I look at LeBron James, for example, and from the outside, he looks like an incredible dad, right? So I wonder, but LeBron didn't have his dad at all in his life. How did he learn to be that dad to his children that the world seemingly emulates and wants to be like? But I remember part of his story is that his mom sent him to go live with one of his coaches and that coach's family. So now here's this man who is not his dad, who is showing him, based upon his relationship with his children and his household, what it means to be a father and how to be a dad. So even though he didn't have that person that, like that sperm donor present, he ultimately God had a way of interjecting someone to show him the way and how to be. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, if no one has ever shown you, it's very difficult to be able to be an example, because I don't know what it means. I don't know what that looks like. I haven't gotten an example. And if you don't have that, it's hard.
What I think what you want to be, and listen, you're gonna love this one. This is just for you, Gaspar. I'm gonna give it to you. You can appreciate it.
Yeah.
So I believe what you want to be in life is just as powerful as what you don't want to be in life. You understand? Okay. Those two dynamics are equally as powerful. I think we often speak the one dynamics and deny the power of the other. I think a great example of that is not just a LeBron James. You got Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, who was a foster child. You understand? Okay. Didn't have no parents. You understand? Yeah. But pride, guess what? But pride himself, literally conditioned himself, pride himself on what he didn't have, but more importantly, what he wanted. You understand? And sometimes what you wanted can be more powerful than what you didn't have. And that can cultivate something in you that will make you astronomical as a person, father, husband, wife, and all the other stuff. I mean, I almost forgot, but I always wanted to be a good husband. And when since I was young, and literally sometimes life can take you so far away from it that it'll be a miracle to seem like you can come back to it. And the minute, and I only been married one time, and I only planned on being married one time. And so once I got married, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a miracle I didn't mess this up yet.
Don't say yet, no, don't say yet.
I mean, because you got, the science, the statistics, literally, if you look at the science and statistics of my relationship, it says that the odds are against me. That my marriage is literally supposed to fail. Statistically, it's supposed to.
Gotcha.
But miraculously, through Christ Jesus, it didn't. But it took me back to something I wanted to be, and I'm gonna share this with you as well. Something I also didn't know instinctively I was preparing to be, literally. So I had to go and literally apply myself to just literally getting up under a good spiritual teacher. I didn't know I was doing it for that reason. I just wanted to know God in that particular time. And guess what? Just pursuing getting to know God, I found getting to know a better version of myself, which prepared me for the husband I forgot I wanted to be a long time ago. So far removed from it. So it's an amazing thing, but I'll go ahead, Ron, kick in.
No, I think that this is just proving the theory of what I'm saying is that people can make some type of hypothesis, some construction of what should happen, but they forget what people want. Yo, you wanted to be married, right? You want this one. I made this really strong. You wanted to be married. So even though you had these relationships prior, you had children in these relationships, and marriage didn't come out of those because you probably could see that hey, this might not be whatever. When you got to be in the marriage you wanted to be, you can't hold all these past relationships and say, oh, you ain't gonna make it successful in your marriage. Because guess what? Maybe this wasn't just the places that I needed to be getting married to these people. I found the person who I want to be married to, and so what I want to do will happen. This is why I argue so much about the idea of consensual fatherhood. The father who wants to be a father will be, they will be beyond the world, the greatest father. Because let's use the same example. LeBron James is not, what's the boy name? The other bull who paid $1 million up front.
Oh, Anthony Edwards.
LeBron James, not Anthony Edwards. Why? Because LeBron James chose to be the father with his wife, Savannah, that he wanted to be the child. That's why his kids love him to death, and he loved his kids. So where Anthony Edwards did not choose this. So he tried to get out of it any way he could because it's not what he really wanted. And guess what? In 10 years from now, you'll see Anthony Edwards married to some lady in the marriage that he want to be in. His children the child now be like, yo, how could this happen? Why did it happen? And these are the things that happen so often, but people would then make a whole thing and not understand. I mean, like you said, even Lightborn told the story many times about his dad. Finding the love, doing all this. But a lot of times we want these things, but our travels to get to it is a lot of detours, ups and downs, rounds and backs and forth. And sometimes we don't stay true. And I think that, like, when you bring this and you put this in such clear form, we don't use what we decide to be our faith to get us to where we want. We start falling down and letting anything direct us. If we know this is what we should be and this is how we should want to be, we have to do that. And we can't be subject by comments, concerns, criticisms. We have to be focused and say, this is what I know I want to be, how I want to be, and what I want to do. I think when we see a lot of these people making big mistakes as fathers, is because they don't know who they want to be. They don't know what they want to do. And they caught in this thing of trying to figure out, getting bad information, getting bad advice, moving in a way of like a chicken with a head cut off, instead of really focusing themselves and saying, okay, this is what I did. This is what happened. And let me work my way through this to get to where I want to be and what I want to be. But a lot of times that's not happening.
I love what you said there, because Anthony Edwards, who he is today, he, like you said, he might be married in 10 years, have the relationship, and now wants to have a relationship with that child.
Absolutely.
So now
absolutely,
he's paid all the child support in advance. Now can he have the relationship that he wants? And oftentimes, sadly, he might now have this may be where the obstacle comes in, because although the mom may have wanted him at one point because he estranged himself for that period of time, now she's like, nah, I don't want you around. But what's crazy is as the child gets older, the child wants to know who dad is. The child wants that relationship. And if he in turn, as the father wants to have that relationship with the child, it'll become one. And the child will go from calling him aunt to possibly calling him daddy. Instead of calling everybody else in the world calls him, which is the child at some point prayerfully call him daddy. So again, even that can change.
Or call him by his jersey name, number 32 or whatever.
Mr. Ant.
So again, but all
that
I
heard,
that can change. Go ahead, Solomon.
Heard one of the brothers say earlier that his dad taught him how to tie a necktie, and there's a lot in that when he said that his father taught him how to tie a necktie. when you look at money, time, and effort, definitely a father needs to be there financially to be the provider. But then there's that time piece and the effort piece, that quality time and the effort that a person puts into spending quality time with a child to teach them how to tie a necktie. Do you know how long it takes to learn how to tie a necktie? You got to be patient. You got to be loving. You got to be able to untie that thing over and over and over again to teach it to a child. Then a father needs to be able to teach a son. You shake a man's hand with your right hand and you look him in the eyes when you shake his hand and you give him a firm shake. That's the quality of time that fathers and dads need to spend with their children. That's probably some of what we're lacking now. Who teach a child how to put the belt on through the left side and come out from the right side? You know, we take a lot of those things like for granted, and we kind of run over them because when I thought about it, I said, you know, who taught me how to shave? I mean, my daddy didn't actually put the razor on my face, but I stood there and he showed me, and I watched him. He let me put the shaving cream on his face. He let me rub it in. He let me feel the whiskers and stuff like that. So that's the quality of time that every child deserves and that every child needs in order to grow up and be whole.
And I think
Was it the
that
powder
time
and
that
the
you
white
talked about-
powder? Solomon, was it the white powder?
It was that magic shaving powder blue label that he put it on with a butter knife,
See how that
Oh, you mean
memory
that
comes
rock?
to
Oh
your
God,
and it
that's a,
stank the whole house up.
Yeah, expect the whole house up.
My mama was so mad. She said, could you go in there and close the door in the other bathroom while you doing it in the master bathroom? I'm gonna have to smell that for 2 or 3 hours.
That magic shade been around for a minute, y'all. That been around for a minute.
Yeah. You know,
Listen,
only really to support what Solomon is saying in that conversation I had with the young lady today, she was saying that, you know, that it was so important that the child's father's in his life because she is having a difficult time right now potty training him.
Mm.
And this is exactly what Solomon just said. Listen, she doesn't know what to do for him to be. The man be sitting down for the whole rest of his life. If it's up to her.
God forbid.
And she was saying, she literally said it to me. She was like, yo, I don't want my child to be sitting down when he's need to be standing up because I am knowing that. Listen, and I see this very often, you know, when I see young people going into the bathroom in their urinals, they don't know how to operate in the urinal.
Gotcha.
Like
That's
when
why
a
the
kid
floor
just
be
pull
so
his
wet
pants
and
all the way
pissy.
down to pull his pants all the way down to use the urinal.
You're
And I
right.
said, yo, brother, what are you doing? Brother, put your you only gotta take the front part loose. You don't take the whole pants to drop them down to the ground, drawers and everything. What are you doing? But again, when would they know? Because guess what? Their first experience to the urinal is here in the campus. You know, so they ain't seen that, they ain't experienced. And who has been able to really teach them that if they haven't had a dad to take them into the bathroom to use the urinal and watch their dad use the urinal? Because as far as they're concerned, if they see somebody use the bathroom with their mom, they're taking everything down and have to go to the bathroom.
Ron, that study. You know, I don't think nobody. This could be your next thesis. I don't think nobody ever did the study on y'all dropping the pants all the way down. Like, you know what? I think I may have seen it. I'm never sure, but I never really studied the psychology behind it.
What you mean? No, I'm not. I'm just saying because listen, when you work in a place with a lot of young kids, they do some of the most darndest things. And you almost get shocked because you say, "Hey, what you doing? Hey, what you doing? What are you doing?" And they don't. And listen, they're not being facetious. They're not being smart. Everything. They just don't know. They believe that this is what they should be doing. It's like, hey, this is what I say, yo, you got listen. The door is open here. The door to the bathroom is open. You completely exposed.
Oh my gosh. Rob, what I was saying, what Solomon shared about the time and the experience is coming back to the point of how it changes you from being a father to a dad or a daddy. Because when you talk about your dad, you don't necessarily say, and again, and I don't know what, when you are older, you may say my father, but a lot of people still say their dad or their daddy, because that's what the relationship was, and the time and the way they spent time together, they were able to establish that. But that's what changes you from being, oh, that's my father, to, oh, that's my daddy, or that's my dad, because you have that relationship. And those things that you talked about, from shaving to the necktie, you've invested in your child. You invested in and shared your time and gave them a lot of time. As we talked about that show, it was really about just spending time with them. Because if I have everything I need financially, but I don't have you, what's the purpose of me having everything I have? Because I can't really, I have it and it's cool, but I need time with my dad. There's something else I need, and you're not giving that to me, and it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you got a bunch of money, they strive for that. Go ahead, Brother Tinny.
Yeah, I was just going to back you and Brother Solomon up. I had to look it up because in Mark 14:36, Jesus is praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, getting ready to be tortured and crucified. And he says, Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I will, but you will. And the Aramaic, or the word Abba in Aramaic, is a term of endearment, which is akin to the word dad or daddy.
Gotcha.
And so when you and Brother Solomon were talking about relationship, I'm thinking about how that particular scripture, when Jesus is in his most distressed situation, he's crying out not just to his father, but he goes, Abba, Father. And Brother Lightborn, dude, your testimony, you're a man among men, dude. you were an Abba Father to your kids, and man, your testimony is an awesome. I just think about, my daughter calling me dad. Man, the blessing that you must get having, your 4 kids, being able to endear themselves to you in such a manner. You're a good man. You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
Thanks a million, team, man. I really appreciate that, man.
Yep. So before we get into get into another topic,
Okay.
I want us to recognize the time, because I think we're about to go. And I know I could be the one to lead us right back into another long ride. So I'm gonna get Johnny before Johnny get me. Looking at the time, we really did our 90 minutes plus. We almost like one of these soccer games. We're about to go on the penalty kick soon, but we don't want to do that. So let us begin to close this out. Any last round robin statement, comments that you want to make before we close out? I really want to say I enjoyed this conversation. At first I came with a lot of energy tonight, and it looks like we had that same kind of energy the whole night, and I'm happy for it.
Ron, I can say in short, quality time and effort and care makes a difference.
There you go. This is one of the greatest experiences that I've had as a human being, understanding the impact that I have had on other people who looked at me and said, I want to know what he is about. My son said, he texted me after he had called several times. I didn't get me on Father's Day. He texted and said, man, there was so many things I thought you was crazy. But now I truly appreciate everything you showed me, everything you taught me, and I'm still learning. So happy Father's Day. That was what he shared. So it was one of those that I think that moment, him and my daughter sharing that, really helped me to fully understand that I did make an impact. And I think that's what we ultimately get from this.
Absolutely. Well, Father, with that being said, man, thank everybody for sharing tonight. I mean, I know that I gotta get Femi. I know he was on here, and every time he come on, he can't talk. We got to get him on here to talk. But thanks everybody for joining us tonight here at the Fatherhood Think Tank. Definitely want to thank you, Jag, for your strong sponsorship of the Fatherhood Think Tank and our partners through the Fatherhood Initiative, the Zeta Chi chapter, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the Zeta Xi New chapter, Lagos, Nigeria, and the Omega Lambda chapter in Philadelphia for their partnership with us through their Fatherhood Initiative and mentoring programs at their chapters. I just want to say this. Thank you, fathers, for being here, because without you being here, without your words, without your advice, listen, reminding me of that green bottle, that green thing, and that stunk up the house. And I said I never wanted to put that on my face because I was watching my stepdad use it all the time to get it clean shaven. I said, not me. That's why I'm probably always having the trauma. The trauma. Thank you for those memories, those thoughts, that pattern, because it was enrichment. I hope anybody who's watching, hey, if you had to share this with somebody, let them know that we're having these kind of conversations and they can join, they can ask. Thank you, Margot, for being in the chat. I might have to make you a moderator so you can moderate how much you should. Hey, listen, you bringing the moderation of the chat room to a high level. Thank you for joining us tonight. The other people that joined us. With that being said, Father, repeat after me. I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of honor.
I am
I'm a man of honor.
I am.
I am.
I am.
I
am.
I am a man of courage.
I am a man of courage.
I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I am.
I am.
I am a man of respect.
I am a man of respect.
Fathers, I say that I am.
I am.
I say that you are.
You are.
I say that we are.
We
And we
are.
are
Championship
Championship Fathers.
champion fathers.
When you see us holding our arms up, we're holding our kids on our arms and our families on our backs. Thank you for joining us. See you here next week at the Fatherhood Think Tank, where you will get the 60 to 90 minutes of fatherhood conversation for fathers, with fathers, about fathers, talking about father issues. And so join us here again next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time for the Fatherhood Think Tank. Thank you so much. And what I would love to always say, again, I just got to thank you, fathers, so much for being here, because without you, it would just be me standing here talking to myself. And without you, and that's not too fun for myself or anybody. Thank you, and we'll see you all here again next week. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night, fellas. Take care. Good to see y'all.
All right. Good night.
No,